Part 2. Predict using a calculation whether a pH of 7 at 60 degrees is neutral, acidic or alkaline. So this is a tricky question where you're looking again at your relationship and your understanding of what neutral means. Right, now you've always been taught that pH 7 is neutral. We're now dispelling that myth because actually neutral means the concentration of hydrogen ions is equal to the concentration of hydroxide ions. So a pH of 7 at 60 degrees might not necessarily be neutral because we know that Kw is affected by temperature. So we need to, in order to answer this question, is let's say using a calculation, we've got to figure out then what the concentration of hydroxide ions are going to be at pH 7 at this temperature, and then compare that to the concentration of hydrogen ions. Now, a pH of 7 is a measurement of the concentration of hydrogen ions at any temperature. So we can use our conversion for pH into hydrogen ion concentration to figure out what the concentration of H plus is, and then use our Kw relationship to figure out what the concentration of hydroxide ions is going to be. Whichever one is greater will determine whether it's neutral, acidic or alkaline. If they're still the same, it's neutral. If the concentration of the hydrogen ions is greater, it will be acidic. If the concentration of the OH minus ions is greater, it will be alkaline. So let's look at this question and see if we can figure out this calculation. So we remember the relationship Kw is equal to the concentration of hydrogen ions multiplied by the concentration of hydroxide ions. So that relationship is the same. No matter what value this is, Kw is always equal to this. But we know that the value of Kw can be changed by temperature. So we need to make sure that whatever this calculation is equals this number. So a pH of 7 is a measurement of the hydrogen ion concentration at any temperature. So to do this, we're going to do 10 to the minus of 7, which, well, that's it, isn't it? Therefore, the concentration of hydrogen ions is equal to 1 times 10 to the minus 7. So this is at any temperature. So we've now got this value. We've also got Kw at 60 degrees, which is 9.311 times 10 to the minus 14. This will allow us now to calculate at 60 degrees what the concentration of hydroxide ions are going to be. So we rearrange the expression. The concentration of OH minus ions is equal to the Kw value at 60 degrees divided by the concentration of hydrogen ions. So that's going to be 9.311 times 10 to the minus 14 divided by 1 times 10 to the minus 7, which equals 9.311 times 10 to the minus 7. Now if you look at this is the concentration of hydroxide ions. That is clearly greater than the concentration of hydrogen ions. So at 60 degrees, pH 7 is alkaline because the concentration of hydroxide ions is greater than the concentration of hydrogen ions. That's your 2 marks. So really is, for only 2 marks, quite an involved, in-depth thought process to see if you really understood what the Kw values are talking about.